tonight. Before I start, I'd like to recognize my family that's here. I gotta wear these, I can't see much. So. Anyway, my brother Alex and his family are here. My wife Lisa and my two girls, Roma and Taylor, are over here. And I think my brother Danny's out there somewhere. And my brother Jimmy, I see right there. My brother's wife Colleen is here. She's laughing, she's ducking. Is Lindy here, Jimmy? No, Lindy. So my sister's here somewhere. And then Kathy White is here somewhere. She's family too. I kept thinking, what am I going to talk about tonight? I could talk about Dad's stats and all sorts of stuff, but I figured there's got to be some stories. Of course, there's some stories that you guys have heard, and there's definitely some I'm going to tell that you haven't. And I think you can see how fun Dad was. Anyway, and maybe I'll tell you a little bit about me, a little bit about AAR, what it does now, which is really neat. So I hope you like that. So let's see if I can make this thing work. Okay. Yeah. So this is Dad. He's about, I'm thinking he's one here. He's sitting on his parents' car. So he was born in Port Jefferson, New York, April 13th, 1931. And his parents, my grandparents, Roma and Jack Gurney, they were really talented artists. And my grandfather Jack was an opera singer of all things. So nothing to do with racing whatsoever. My dad was obviously into cars. And I love this picture. You can see obviously it's a Ford. And I love right here too, it's got number 48 on them. It just happens to have number 48 here, which is maybe a foreshadowing of what to come. He made 48 quite famous, or with him driving. 48 was his number. And I don't know if you know where that came from. He was really good friends with Les Richter, who ran the Riverside Raceway. And Les was on the Rams, and when he was on the Rams, Les was number 48. And Dad adopted 48, and that's how he ran it in all those races as number 48, because he was friends with Les. Let me see if I can use this. Okay, so this is the day after graduation in New York high school, Manhasset High School. Day after graduation, the family left, uprooted, we're going to California. And of course, my dad was very sad to leave his friends, but also he's getting thrown right into Southern California hot rod heaven, right? And so right here is his dad right there. He's 19 years old right there. No one's ever heard of him before. Down here on the end, I don't know if you can see on the end there, that guy's name was Teddy Bear. So these are all friends from Riverside. That guy's name was Teddy Bear, cool name. And he owned that, you can see it way down there, there's a tow vehicle towing this race car, quote, in quotes, race car. The next guy here, his name was Raymond Torres. He owned the engine in the race car. And then my dad, he's been working all night, you could tell. This is midnight in Riverside on Market Street behind the Ruby's Diner, and they're leaving to go to Bonneville. And then the next guy next to him, next to Dad right there, is Skip Hudson. So my dad told me that his mom or his sister took this picture, and both of them wrote that on the back of my dad's car right here, Bonneville Express. They painted that on there before they left. He said he bought that car for $50. So they towed that from Riverside, all of them, to Bonneville. And when they got there, they flipped a coin between Dan and Skip, and my dad won the coin toss, so he got to drive it. And he ran 134.4. I better get it right, he'll get mad at me. 134.4, I think it was, in that thing. Yeah. So that was really his beginning of racing, so to speak. Within let's see, this is 1950. Okay. Oh yeah, I gotta say this too. This is really neat. So right there, that was a car club that they had, and they were called the Detonators, which I love. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So this is 1950. So within 8 years of this picture, Dad will have gone to Korea for almost 3 years in the war. Within 8 years, Korea, and he's sitting on a Formula One grid in a Ferrari. Yeah, within 8 years of this picture, which I think is amazing. So let me see what the next slide is. I kind of forget. Okay. I got to tell you how our company, All American Racers, how it got started. In 1964, the morning of the 500, everybody left Goodyear's. No one wanted their tires. And Goodyear is standing there with cars with none of their tires on the car. So they went to Carroll Shelby and they said, Carroll, if we sponsor you, will you build cars that strictly run on Goodyear's? And to his credit, and thank God he said this, he said, I'm too busy. Why don't you go ask Dan and see what he thinks? Which is awesome. And Dad says, you know what? I'll do it on one condition, that we go Formula One racing. And Goodyear said yes. And that's how that whole Formula One thing started. He didn't want to do it unless that happened. So pretty neat. So that's how AER started. And if you look over there, there's a little kid sitting right there. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. So, and I think, and my mom's over here on the far right. My dad's right here, down here at the left front. You can see Phil Remington back there at the left of the wing, in there. So this car was definitely one of the best cars we ever built. In 1971, McLaren came over with their two cars, Penske and McLarens, and they were just crazy fast, blowing, blew the records away. I think they were maybe 9 to 13 miles an hour faster than the year before, which is unheard of, obviously. And we qualified third, so Penske's were 1-2, Penske and McLaren's 1-2, we were third. And they just smoked us. So we went back to the drawing board and came up with this. And it's also the first time we ever ran the gurney flap at Indy. We were on the pole by 18 miles an hour over the year before, which is also unheard of, right? So we qualified in the pole, McLaren's were second and third. That was a good day. And in the race, Bobby was driving it, Lisa, absolutely left everybody, and it broke. He won the next weekend at Milwaukee, though, so it saved the day there. So, a little bit, when I started working at AER when I was about, 15, off and on, sweeping the floors, right? And then, after a while, Dad, said, Justin, how about you want to work in the motorcycle shop? So we were building the Alligator motorcycle. So I went and worked there for a while. And then pretty soon, then I'm driving the parts truck, I'm doing all sorts of things like that. And then at some point, I became team manager of our race team when my brother Alex there was driving. Then I became general manager at some point. I actually used to go, my dad was tired of going to CART board meetings. He said, Justin, you go. I go, oh, really? So I sit there, next to like Roger Pensy sitting here and Carl Hogan is next to me, and I got all my notes. I'm taking a million notes, and I look over and they're not taking any. I bring home and give them a big old stack, papers, what I did. Anyway, I was a fish out of water, I felt. What was I? Oh yeah. So at some point in around 2000, money was very tight. Toyota sponsorship had left us, and we were in big trouble. We went from 210 people to about 18. It was rough. And we were selling assets to stay alive, selling race cars, and it wasn't pleasant. So Dad said, okay, Justin, you're in charge now. So he made me the CEO of that, which was lovely. Yes. And then 9/11 happened, 2001. And some people came knocking on the door saying, we know who you guys are. You guys obviously can make a lot of things. Would you be interested in helping us with this stuff? And I can't really say what it is, but it was very exciting. And so that kind of pulled out of the bad spot, and things started taking off again. It turned into an aerospace business. We hired all the good people back. I don't know how many people we have now, 250? We have 250 people now from 18. We hired all the good ones back. Southern California has a lot of aerospace stuff, so a lot of companies steal our people. That happens a lot, but it's the way it is. But so, some things I will show you that we do build, which I'm very proud of. It's really, really neat. So, one day, if you're familiar with the Delta Wing race car, we built that, the Delta Wing. And while we were building it, we were looking for engineers, and the guy says, hey, I know a guy from SpaceX who Elon just plucked out of Formula One, really good engineer, can you guys use him? I said, absolutely, bring him down. So he came down, and we did a zillion all-nighters to make it to Le Mans. And one day I'm just sitting there talking to him, maybe 9 o'clock at night, and I go, do you guys need any help at SpaceX? I mean, we could build a lot of stuff. You guys must be bursting at the seams. And the guy says, we're running out of room. We're looking for places. And I go, well, come down here and follow me. So we walked around the place. And we had actually built, believe it or not, we built 2 giant airplanes at AAR. And you won't believe it. One of them was 180-foot wingspan, and one of them was 285-foot wingspan. Unmanned, solar. One of them was a hydrogen-powered crazy thing. So anyway, the hydrogen-powered one crashed. Nothing to do with us, thank God. It was some computer problem. So that thing got stopped. The program got stopped. So anyway, I'm walking the guy around from SpaceX, and he says, well, show me where you would do our work if we did it. So I go, follow me. We went to the building where we were doing the plane, which we're now not doing, and I said, right here. He says, okay. He goes, do you know what a landing leg is? And I said, no, what's that? He said, well, Elon wants to reuse his rockets. Instead of just dropping them in the ocean, he wants to land them and reuse it. Well, that sounds crazy. Well, they're crazy. And so we started building the landing legs for the Falcon 9 rocket. And we built every single landing leg that's ever been on a Falcon 9 rocket. And I think we built over 250, 260 legs, and we're still in full production to this day. And there's one called a Falcon Heavy. So a Falcon 9, it's got 9 motors. They hook 3 together, all 3 take off, and the middle one lands in the ocean, and the 2 on the side land on the ground. Each rocket has 4 legs, so 12 legs on a Falcon Heavy. You can see this is kind of, so we build this whole structure here, it's all carbon fiber, about, let's say it's 38 feet long-ish, and it weighs about 1,000 pounds when we deliver it. And according to what SpaceX tells us, when that leg leaves AAR, it does not go to SpaceX. It goes from AAR onto the rocket. It goes to Cape Canaveral or to Vandenberg in California. We're the only company that they trust to do that, which is pretty neat. And we built this big machine that we put the landing leg on and pull a bunch of levers, and it tests the ascent, descent cases, and all the stress loads it takes. So we're pretty proud of that. And my dad did get to see several landings, so he was extremely proud. So Edsel knows more about this one than I do, so I hope I don't botch it. But Edsel's great-grandfather drove this car in 1903. Later? Okay. All right. Yep, that's all I was gonna. Yeah. So his great grandfather, right? Okay. He drove it. I think he went 91 miles an hour in 1910. Let's say 91 miles an hour, and it's an 18.9 liter 4-cylinder. It's a big, making 50 horsepower. So one day, Dad tells me he was at the museum, and the curator or whoever it was goes, "How'd you like to drive it?" And he's like, "Well, really?" He goes, "Yeah, let's go do it." So they went, I guess, across the proving grounds, across the street there, and it's snowing. I can't really tell on the thing, but it was snowing that day. I have a video of it, and Dad says to the guy, "Well, how fast should I go?" And the guy goes, "Go for it." And then you tell my dad to go for it. So of course he did. And if you look, it's got a tiller steering handle. So his left hand's on the tiller wheel, and his right hand is on some kind of accelerator or clutch or whatever it is. So anyway, he went for it. He told me he got up to what he thought was 70 miles an hour, and when the whatever it was, clutch finally engaged, he said that front cylinder blew off the studs and shot like 30 feet high. And he was like, "Oh my God, I ruined this priceless heirloom." And the guy goes, "Happens all the time, don't worry." and last time I was at the museum, it said that Dad was the last person to ever drive that. Is that true? Really? Wow. That's pretty neat. He was the first and last. Well, yeah. So Dad broke it, and you never just put it in. This one I wanted to tell us because you might know the story, but if you don't, it's really cool. So this is a Daytona 3-hour, and my dad is in the Arciero Lotus. So there's a myth about the finish, so I'll fix that. So he tells me he's coming out of what is like NASCAR Turn 4, and the engine grenades, blows out the bottom of the car, and he somehow has the wherewithal at that exact second to do this. He coasted down the front straightaway and banked, right, Daytona, and he stops before start finish, okay? Now if you see, there's a car over there, there's like a Corvette over there on the left that you can see a little blur. So see how fast cars are going by him. He actually gets out of the car, crawls up to the starter guy who's got the checkered flag. This picture's a little bit later than that. Goes up there and he says to the guy, "Hey, how much longer is this race going?" It's 3 hours. And the guy goes, "Oh, there's about 4 minutes." And he goes, "Oh, okay." He goes back down and sits in the car and waits. And when the 4 minutes are up, the starter looks down, there's the leader, checkered flag. And he just turns the wheels to the left because it's banked and rolls across and wins the race. I think you were in the race. I think you got last. You were, weren't you? You were. You remember how you finished? Didn't. Blew up. Yeah. Neat. Yeah. All right, this is a neat one too. So, 1967 Le Mans. This is my dad's 10th try at winning the race. He won in the Cobra, in the GD class before, but never overall. And so were you here at this day? No. 66, you were there? 66, okay. So 67. So this is 10th try. This is a more important race. I agree. Yep. So my dad and AJ Foyt are the two drivers. And he told AJ, "Look, AJ, I've done this 9 times. Please, let's just stick to this way of doing it. This is an endurance contest. Let's not hurt the car. We can win this thing." So AJ listened. It didn't fight each other on who's doing a faster lap time, which usually teammates always do. They stuck to their guns. So in the middle of the night, this is at Arnage. They're going down the Mulsanne, and this is Mike Parks in the Ferrari behind my dad in the Mark IV Ford. And he goes, "I see the Ferrari behind me, and I'm sticking to my guns. I'm not gonna stretch the legs. I'm not gonna get into this." So he goes, "I moved over, and he wouldn't pass me. Put on the brakes, he won't pass me. I let off, won't pass me." So he goes, "This went on for a lap or two, and he goes, I decided I'm just gonna pull over and stop." And he did, and Mike Parks pulled over and stopped behind him. So first and second place, just sitting there on the side of the track. And he said that Parks would hit like the high beam, click, 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 and he'd be like, "No." And he sat there for a while, and finally Parks pulled out and drove away. And then later Dad passed him and ended up winning the race. So some of you know this story too, and I had to tell it in case you don't. So when he did win, on the victory podium, he handed him a giant champagne bottle, and he decided to spray it for some reason. He said, "I was so stoked," that's the word he used, "I was so stoked to win this thing finally. I just didn't know what to do." And there's Edsel's father, everyone, all the photographers, everyone, and he goes, "I just popped the cork and sprayed everyone." "What are you doing?" And so he took that bottle. There was a guy on the podium that he had brought up named Flip Schulke, who was a Life magazine photographer. And so he sprayed the champagne, handed him the bottle, and got whisked off to whatever. not thinking that he had started anything. Well, Flip held that bottle his entire life and got sick later on, and he said, Dan, you gave me this bottle on the podium that day, and I think you should have it back. So we have it today. And hold on to it. Okay. Yeah, this looks very safe. This is how long I've been riding. Dad taught us to ride. All my brothers are very good motorcycle riders. And this is how, that's me on the back there in Costa Mesa at our house. And I'm sure the neighbors were very pleased. It looks like that. If you do look carefully, I am in a little thing. There's a little, I'm held on. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is how long I've been riding with Dad. And the Alligator motorcycle was his absolute passion. Maybe more than cars, maybe even more than aviation, cars, motorcycles. That was his thing. And the Alligator motorcycle, I should have brought one anyway, but we would ride every single weekend with my dad and a bunch of crazy lunatic riders, race car drivers. Some of them are here we've ridden with. And one time, I just thought of this, that one time we were on early prototypes, no bodywork, just like a bunch of tubes with a motor in it, loud, no mufflers, just obnoxious. And of course, he would ride like he was an 18-year-old kid and he's 70-something. Every single light is a race, everything's a race, wide open all the time. And we got to keep up with it. So there's a place called Ortega Highway in Southern California, which is a big, windy, extremely dangerous road. Lose people all the time, and it's a cliff. In fact, Juan Fangio's here somewhere in the second. He went off the cliff one time. I was with him, I remember that. He went right off the cliff on my bike, just right off. He landed in a tree, and then crawled back up. Anyway, yeah, where's Juan? Oh yeah, you remember that one? Yeah, you remember that? Yeah, I went back looking for him, and I see him standing there in my pair of leathers, and he's just covered in dirt. And he goes, Justin, I'm alive. And it was on my bike. Anyway, so one time I remember driving with Racing Dad, and there's a place called The Lookout, which was like a hangout for bikers. Crowded every Sunday, just a zillion people there, ride up the hill. So we're almost there, and there's like a long hill before you get there, and you go over this crest, go down and park. So we're on Alligator motorcycles, and we're about neck and neck. I always told Dad I was a little ahead. We're wide open, okay? And right as we get to the crest, California Highway Patrol comes right over the crest, and immediately he turns around, turns on the lights, and I kind of, back off, and Dad didn't even budge. So I go, okay, so then I went down and we pulled into the lookout, which was like a pavement and then a dirt. Pulled into the lookout, put our kickstands down, kind of mingled in the crowd like this, kind of stood next to people, hey, how's it going? And here comes the cop. He's flying down the thing with his sirens going, pulls in the parking lot, everyone's like, whoa, someone's busted. He pulls in the parking lot, flips open the door, he's mad, really mad. He goes, you and you, come here. I'm like, how the hell, how did you do that? He recognized us, you and you, come over here right now. So, okay, so we start walking over to him, and the whole crowd follows. Everyone's like, I gotta hear this. So, he says, you wanna come in my car and see how fast you guys are going? And I go, no, and Dad goes, I do. So we walk over to his car, and everyone follows. And look in, and there on the radar is 101. I was like, uh-oh, this is not gonna be good. So Dad goes out loud, for everyone goes, well, Did we get fast time of the day? We got a huge ticket. It was massive. I couldn't afford it. Thank God Dad paid for mine. And the guy didn't impound the bikes either, which usually over 100 you're gone, but it was good. This is funny. So this is 2015 at Indy, and we got to drive Eagles around the track before the race, which was really special, and Dad was sitting there watching. So all sort of things happened that weekend. But this is Alex, your brother Alex here in the golf cart. We pull into where the pagoda is. You pull in the spot, and I go, Dad, I think this part's reserved for TG. Tony George. This is Tony George's parking spot. And Dad goes, no, it's not. The Gurneys. All right, this is the last one. This is the last one I'm going to tell, and I'll take questions if you want. But this one's really cool. And so Juan Fangio back there, the second. His uncle Juan is over here. You recognize him, right? So this is 1975, I want to say, or six. I want to say 1976. Long Beach had a vintage Formula One race, and these guys are in it. And Dad always said, look, when he told the story, he said, my car was much better than Juan's car. Okay? He goes, I'm in a 60s BRM, and Juan is in a 50s Mercedes. Okay, so he always said that before I told the story. My car was better, and I was younger than Juan at the time. So anyway, in the race or in the practice, he found himself, Juan's leading, and my dad is inside. And he goes, we go down Shoreline. I think Long Beach then maybe made a right. Let's say he made a right in that year. And he goes, I'm going down the straightaway, and he goes, he left the door open, and he goes, should I pass Juan Fangio? This is my hero. I don't think I could do this. So he goes, I'm not going to do it. So he went around another lap, and then Juan left the door open again, and he's like, I don't know. The next lap he went around, and Juan left the door open, and he goes, screw it. Passed him. Dad won the race. And Juan, I think, got third. Well, after the race, Juan, he didn't speak much English. He sent down an interpreter. The interpreter came over to my dad, and he says, Mr. Gurney, Mr. Fangio would like to work with you. He said, oh geez, what does he want? He said, what is the idea of picking on an old man like that? I hope Juan understood that. What do we have to end here? Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on for hours up here, but if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Yeah?
I first met your dad at Silverstone, and I was in the Formula Junior race. There was about 50 cars in the race. And myself, Denny Hull, somehow, Denny Hull was driving the Brabham, I was driving the Lola R5. And we separated ourselves in the field, and we swapped and swapped and swapped. And with about 3 laps to go, the gear lead of my car broke off. So I was left with this little tiny stump. So I sussed out, because I dropped back a bit, and I sussed out how to change up with my finger and push my thumb and forward. Well, on the last lap, I broke the lap record, and I finished about that far behind Dad, about a couple of tenths. Later on in the day, I was walking through the paddock. Your dad was walking the other way. Well, your dad was an established Formula One driver by then. How the hell he knew who I was, I don't know. But he comes back to me and says, "Hey, David, you did a good job there. That was a great race. He said you want to stick to this. You might make something out of this." And it just shows that even the great Dan Gurney can be wrong.
Anybody else? You have a question back there? Oh, about the car? Oh yeah. Okay. So, in 1968, like I said, we were sponsored by Goodyear. Goodyear said, you know what? We don't want to do this Formula One stuff anymore. We want to go IndyCar racing. So we're going to stop the F1 program. Dad was not happy about that. But right when that happened, we were busy building a Formula One car that would have raced in '69. And when Goodyear pulled the sponsorship, we took that car that was, let's say it was 75% complete, took that car and stuck it in the rafters and left it there. And a lot of people who worked at AR over the years, I'm sure, have seen it up there. Everyone always talked about it, the Formula One car up there. Well, when my dad passed away, I thought, you know what, why don't we bring that thing down? It'll kind of bring everyone together. We'd have a project. So we did. So we brought that car down from the rafters and decided to finish it. And we finally finished it about a week ago. A lot with Keith's help over there. And it's here at the track in the Gurney tent. No one's seen it yet. It's got a cover on it. And tomorrow we're gonna pull the cover off at around, let's say 1 o'clock. It has a 3-liter V12 in it. The other day we put it on scales and it weighed 961 pounds. Anybody else? $250.
Just curious, you always see the Ford GTs with what they call the Gurney bubble on the roof. How tall was that?
He asked about the Gurney bubble. Yeah, he was about 6'3".
Okay.
Yeah, and like in the Mark IV there, it had the bubble on it, and he even carved out the seat. We're basically sitting on like the honeycomb on the bottom, and even carved that out. He would do it all the time. If you ever drove with him to lunch, he would take his seat and lean it all the way back like this in a Formula One car. He would sit way back there. No one could sit behind him. Yeah. He had a tough time fitting in all cars.